discussion and time for questions. So, as well, just so everybody knows as a preface before we get going, I'm going to jump right in with you four. Please, if you have any questions throughout this, just let me know. But we're going to be missing a few tonight just because of other family obligations who are going to rewatch it. I'm still waiting on a few others who said they'd be able to make it, but we'll see if that happens as we go through. So first of all, welcome to the challenge. As I go through this, this is really like an intro to kind of like what to expect, kick off the first week so you guys know kind of what we're doing and what our goals are for the first week, and then just kind of a preview of what's to come and how this is going to work within 6 weeks. I really base my challenges off of sustainability. There's so many diets out there that just cause people to yo-yo up and down weight-wise, and so I'm really someone who's looking at the sustainability piece and factor and what's going to work long-term for your body. So with these calls being more of the educational part of the challenge, because I like people to be able to learn and understand what they're doing so that they can take it and then move forward with it without me. This is going to also be very individualized between you and myself as we go through pertaining to your goals that you either texted or emailed me. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I do have a little fancy dancy PowerPoint that I like to use just with visuals and things to help me clearly explain everything. Okay, perfect. So what we are getting into here is week 1 out of 6. There are 6 Zooms total. I'm not sure if any of you had time to preview the nutrition book that is on Facebook, but that is under files. So you are able to download it, print it out if that's something you're interested in, or just keep that copy of it on your iPad, your phone, use the recipes in it. But it does have a lot of these little snippets that are in this PowerPoint are also in that that cookbook in the nutrition phases book. So just a word on change that I'm going to go over a little bit faster, but change doesn't always have to be a bad thing. And I think change can be pretty exciting, especially when we start learning about what foods benefit our body and how to better basically feed our body and fuel our body towards our goals. So being uncomfortable is normal. It's all part of it, as you guys know. The journey entails 7 days a week, texting or sending me photos of food, which I know can be a little scary because it can kind of seem like a lot. So just kind of keep in contact with me if you're unable to send me photos all the time, just so I know what's going on. And I know it does seem a little overwhelming, but we're going to talk more about it as we go through this group nutrition Zoom, weekly weigh-in. So our kind of day to update is Wednesday. Always send the weigh-in first thing in the morning. That's your truest weight after you've peed, without wearing anything, just like most of you did. Send me your weight with a picture of the scale with your feet on the scale. Okay. And I have dogs in here, so they may start barking at their shadows. Success, something I liked because you guys I know can read that, but just make sure you're communicating with your family so that they can help you along with it. I had a client who was really tied to cooking for her family and wasn't sure how it was going to go in terms of kind of tied to the idea that food is the love language that she kind of gave her family, and was worried that they'd be upset if she started cooking meals that were healthier. And so they were super open to it, but that was just like a big worry and a big piece of it that until it was addressed, well, when it was addressed, she actually felt a lot better. So real quick here, meal phases during the 6 weeks. We really only go through 4 phases in the cookbook, that nutrition book that I have for you guys. It does go to 6. I don't like going to 6 The sixth phase completely negates the food group of carbs, which I do not like to do. That's really something that's very an extreme way to lose weight if someone's looking to lose a lot by a certain date. And then we have to reverse diet out of it, which is how to add food back into your diet without gaining weight. So it's really not something I touch unless it's necessary. So all phases of this nutrition program are going to encompass all food groups, protein, fats, and carbs. So looking at phase 1, which is where we are starting this first week, is getting in a routine of how often you're eating throughout the day. So the biggest goals this week are going to be 3 meals a day, as well as eating whole foods. So those are kind of like, just to pick 2 goals out to simplify, 3 meals a day, whole foods, like sweet potato, rice, quinoa, chicken, beef. If you're vegetarian, we can talk about those options, but things that aren't processed and really only have 1 to 2 ingredients. As you can see, if it is a training day where you're lifting weights, you're going for a run, you're doing a spin class, you're in any gym or taking a walk, that I would say is more than like 20 minutes, you're gonna wanna have an extra meal, which is that protein shake or an additional serving of protein plus some carbs. So that could also look like a Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, serving of like a salad and grilled chicken. It doesn't have to be the like processed shake if you really are sticking to that whole food plan. Then phase 2, we start getting into what works better for some people. I'm someone who prefers 4 meals versus 3 because I can eat more if I eat smaller meals throughout the day, but some people love the 3 meal a day. So we start getting into personalizing that a bit. And then phase 3 is really focusing on, okay, what are those proteins, fats, and then veggies that veggies that are higher carb, veggies that are lower carb, so you have a better understanding of the certain foods you're eating so that we're still getting carbs, but they're completely whole food carbs. And then phase 4, again, it gets very personalized from there. So this slide, kind of a fun slide, but I really like to focus on things that we can eat versus what we can't. And it's not so much, I don't really like looking at, oh, I can't eat this, or this was bad, right? Like I like to everything in moderation. And so in terms of like, if you're at a birthday party and there's cake or pizza or brownies, like have a small piece of cake, have a small brownie. I don't think limiting yourself is ever the answer, because then that just causes a lot of binging down the road. I know that from personal experience. I know that from working with a ton of clients over the years. And so really focusing on, what days am I allowing myself to maybe go off my plan a little bit? And then what days of the week am I really staying strict to my plan? So kind of a funny slide to see. Talking about the different food groups. So as we go through this, the different Zoom calls and the different weeks, more education is going to come in terms of, okay, what does protein do for your body? What do carbohydrates do for your body? What do fats do, water, and all of those things. So protein, for the sake of this call, is super, super important in terms of basically being the building block for every cell within your body. So it's super important to eat protein. Most Americans, about like 75% of Americans, undereat on the amount of protein that they should be eating a day. Because things like snacks, chips, cheese, crackers, nuts, and packaged goods are all pushed in our face all day long, which comes from the American culture of the snack culture. So proteins, there's always going to be a huge push on protein, and it's not to make you buff, and it's not to make you like a bodybuilder. It's really to help you satiate cravings, because a lot of eating enough protein really helps satiate cravings, especially red meat. And then help us be healthy. There's this saying that I like to use where you can't get fat off of eating too much protein, because protein is never going to be a problem. So protein, even though it can get boring, it can get monotonous, and we can talk about different ways to consume protein, is really going to be essential for you hitting your goals. So we're talking about a serving of protein within every meal or snack that you have during the day. Carbohydrates, those are essential for fast energy. So carbohydrates, we are really making sure we're eating enough carbs. A lot of people like to take out and limit carbs, and what happens is then they start under eating on foods. And if you under eat for too long, then you plateau and you actually won't gain weight because your body's in starvation mode. So you'll actually keep the weight on, but you're starving yourself, so you're unhappy, and it's just this endless cycle. And then basically what you have to do to help people get out of this is reverse diet and slowly add in enough protein, enough carbohydrates, so that it kickstarts their metabolism again, so that their metabolism starts functioning on a 24-hour period, but they don't gain weight. Their metabolism just kicks back into gear again. So carbohydrates are really, really important, especially if you're lifting weights. Fast energy. Also, carbohydrates help shuttle the protein to your muscles. So if you are lifting weights and breaking down those muscle fibers, carbohydrates are essential when they're paired with a protein to help get that protein to your muscles for repair. Skipping over vegetables for a second, that's going to be all your micros, so nutrition, vitamins, minerals, but going right into essential fats and good fats. Fats, especially for women, are really important. Number one, because they really help regulate our cycle, our periods, but they also help even when we're going through pre-post menopause, balance our hormones. So if you're thinking, that because you're losing estrogen, your hormones are all out of whack, keeping really good essential fats and essential fatty acids within your diet is going to be really important for you in maintaining level hormones, because if one hormone is off, like progesterone or estrogen, it's going to affect all your other hormones. So fats, like good quality olive oils. I was getting horrible pre and during period back pain, stomach cramps, all the things. And I introduced a fish oil with really wonderful omega-3s. It's cod liver oil. And I take that 5 days a week now. And that's helped me immensely, as well as just increase the amount of fats that I eat that week leading up to my period. So we can chat if these are, things that are kind of ringing a bell, but essential fats, avocados, fresh fish that's not been farmed, which hopefully we can find plenty of in Maine, at least 1 to 2 times a week. So you're getting those omega-3s are going to be really important. And then water. So water is something I'm not gonna force the topic this week, but it is gonna be really important. So everybody should be drinking, and this is this is without the exercise hour of your day if you are exercising, but at least half your weight in ounces of water a day. So it's a lot more water than what most people generally drink. So I'm just going to let that kind of sink in for a second. Trying to move you guys off my screen so you can see the hand sizes. Okay, so this is how I really like to go about keeping track of and understanding portion sizes without bringing up MyFitnessPal and taking out measuring cups and scales and all the things from the kitchen, just because those can be really detrimental to, and really, what's the word I'm looking for? Addicting, but then detrimental to your mental health. Because you feel like you have to be entering to the exact amount, all specifically the food you've been eating every day, which can become obsessive. So I just like to be really careful of that. So in that case, I go with hand portion sizes. So what's interesting is your hand is basically sized for your body. So everyone's hands are going to be a little, you know, bigger or smaller depending on how big they are. And so when I'm looking at, I'll start left to right, a serving of protein. I know this says 1 palm, but for us, if you're looking at your plate, I want you to think about eating 2 palms of protein. So that's like a whole chicken breast for dinner, not half a chicken breast for dinner, if we're talking about comparing it to actual food. If we're eating eggs for breakfast, that's not 1 egg, that's 2 full eggs. And then I would probably tell you to add an egg white for extra protein. So for this, I'm gonna upload this slide to the Facebook page after, so you guys can save it, take it home with you, whatever. But protein is gonna be 2 palms, not the 1. Serving of vegetables. This is for every meal, this photo. So it's like at least a vegetable if you can, or a vegetable, at least a fist size of vegetables at every meal if you can. For breakfast, that sometimes can look like sauteed spinach, or I like to saute a bunch of vegetables, put them in a container, put them in the fridge, and then throw them in my eggs in the morning. So I'm not wasting time when I'm in a hurry sauteing veggies every morning. That's been a huge meal prep kind of secret. And then carbs. We're gonna start this week with 2 cupped hands of carbs. Because if you think about like 1 cup for like rice really isn't that much. I want you to have 2 cupped hands of carbs for a serving, and then fat. So the thumb can be a little deceiving. The thumb is great if you're using it for like olive oil, because basically I'm just equating your thumb to like a tablespoon of olive oil. So, and olive oil is really good for you, but if we're looking at like an avocado, or we're looking at nuts, an avocado, you want to eat about half of an avocado for a serving of an avocado. So that obviously that's bigger than your thumb. And then a serving of nuts is a lot smaller than most people think. And it's 1/4 of a cup, which, this is like the saddest thing, is really only around like 7 to 8 almonds, which is really insane if you think about it. So the thumb doesn't work for everything, just a heads up, but it's more of a guideline. So this is what I want you to be working with when we start taking pictures of meals and you start sending them to me, which is going to start tomorrow morning. So when you take a photo of your breakfast, and I don't want you to be stressed out about it, if you don't want your kids to see you taking photos of your meals, it's totally fine. Just let me know, and the best you can describe what you had for breakfast. But I want your hand in that photo. So if you can put your hand next to your plate so I can see for reference, because I just, I don't know if plates are this big or this big in a photo. So you can put that hand right next to your plate, and that will kind of help you see anyways, how much of everything you gave yourself. And don't worry if you're unsure if something's a protein, a fat, or a carb. I will answer those questions and go over that with you, because that comes next week. This week is really just about getting in that routine and getting the whole foods to be a focus. Okay, this isn't written out, so I know it looks a little overwhelming. However, you can place this workout anywhere within your day. So that 1 scoop of protein and workout carbs, this could be at noon and you could eat your lunch at 2 or 3 p.m. I'm just making sure you're getting that pre or post workout shake. And it can be either. They both have the same effect on your muscles and your digestion, because that's always a question. But I'm just making sure like you kind of see it mapped out here if you were to work out early in the morning. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to upload this to Facebook too, so you guys can have it. I'm going to move forward because I have written out meals that might not be as crazy to look at as this written out. So this is what we just talked about. Really quickly, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and actually share the nutrition book with you guys, where it has it, where it correlates to where we are this week. And again, if you guys have any questions while I'm kind of making these changes, please let me know. All right, this. Okay, cool. Did you guys see on Facebook where the cookbook was for you guys to download? Okay, fantastic, awesome. Okay, so basically, I kind of skipped down to through the intro, like letting your family know what you're doing, being open with them. I kind of skipped down to, we've kind of talked about this, but again, there's just an outline. Like, this is what carbohydrates do for your body. This is what proteins do for your body. These are what fats do for your body. And then what I should see on my plate. So I give these visuals just so you kind of have an idea that protein in vegetables are really the biggest things that take up the most room on your plate. And if we think about it, like, that makes the most sense. They're the protein animals, or if you're vegan, from the earth, and then vegetables, micronutrients from the earth as well. And squash and legumes and things like that are all vegetables for the sake of what we're talking about. They're generally like squashes, and now that we're really getting into fall, like warmer squashes and meals with squash, they're just a little bit higher in carbohydrate, but that's not a bad thing. I'm gonna keep going and get down to where it says phase 1. Woo, we're going all over the place. Okay. To where it says phase 1. So I kind of give an outline of like, what are options for breakfast that you could have that fall within the plan. And then with some of these, like the frittata with potato, the egg muffins, and the mixed berry smoothie, and looking at the breakfast, and actually the strawberry cream and oatmeal. I have a recipe for all of those towards the end of this, in the breakfast section. And I'm also realizing there isn't just like a normal, like 2 eggs, a slice of toast in there, and that's perfectly acceptable for a breakfast. Lunch, more ideas of what's easy and friendly to make for the lunch of this challenge. And then dinner. So I have the taco recipe, Greek meatball recipe. I think, yes, I have the chicken fajita recipe, and I don't know if I have the breaded chicken recipe, but that was more of an idea with what you can make. So as you go through the challenge, there will be kind of these outlines with different options, so you have a better understanding of like these are like meals that can follow the plan if you're kind of running out of ideas on your own. Awesome. And if I find a recipe missing at the back of my book where the actual recipe section is, then I'll post it on the Facebook group. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information, but does anyone have questions at this point? So the goals for this week: send me photos of every meal so I can get an idea, and then you're going to get feedback from me 2 to 3 times a week with, okay, this looks great, maybe add more of this for more protein, maybe take some of this away so you're eating less fats or saturated fats or whatever it is. This carb looks great, but can you maybe put, I don't know, less butter in it next time? You know what I mean? So you'll get that feedback from me 2 to 3 times a week, 2 minimum, 3 times maximum. And just, even if I don't respond every day to you sending the meal photos, keep sending them, because I'm reviewing them and I'm looking at them. And if I have something to say, then I'll text you. That number that I gave you is for the food photos, but if anything comes up where you're like, oh, I need an answer right away, like, is this recipe a good, an idea? Feel free to email me or text my other number and I'll get back to you right away. The food ones I tend to not look at until I'm like sitting down for an hour a day where I can like get back to everybody. Any questions? Yes, Leah.
I wanted to see your thoughts on intermittent fasting.
Oh yeah. Intermittent fasting, I think, is very person to person. Intermittent fasting for a number of people has worked super well because within that time frame, they've just eaten less, period. So that's one reason why some people do it because it helps them eat less if that's their goal. I've had some people get stuck with intermittent fasting because once they initially lost weight, then they weren't eating enough. But they were too scared to start adding more food back in, so they're doing themselves more of a disservice. It can also, on the flip side of that, be really awesome for hormone regulation. So hormones start basically, what's the word I'm looking for? Like remaking themselves after about 12, 13 hours of you not like metabolizing food. So all the energy in your body can go to reproduction of hormones. And it really takes, after you eat that initial meal, it really takes your body up to 3 hours to fully digest, where your body's sending energy to digest the food versus to repair your body and help you feel rested when you wake up in the morning. So think about after, like, say you eat dinner at 6 p.m. and that's the last time you eat, and you don't eat breakfast until after 6 a.m., like unintentionally, that's actually a really great length of time to go, because you'll have let your body, if you were sleeping during that time, digest the food probably before you went to bed. So then when you were actually sleeping, your body was sending all its energy into repairing muscle cells and hormone reproduction and feeling rested when you wake up.
Cool.
Yeah.
That makes
Hopefully that helps.
a lot of stuff about it helping with insulin resistance too. Which is something I'm interested in. So might look into that.
Yeah, let me look more into that. I haven't looked into intermittent fasting in a while, but let me look into that and get back to you.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
I have a question.
Yes.
What's your take on like the veggie frozen patties and things like Morningstar does like a veggie burger or they do like veggie sausages and things like that you can do with like breakfast?
Totally. So I haven't had them in a while. There was a stunt where I wanted to see if I could not eat meat or only eat meat once a meal during the day. Send me the nutrition label on them, Loris, because the thing is a lot of the veggie things, they end up being higher in fat than protein or higher in carb than protein, which is that unfortunate trade-off that happens with things that aren't meat-based. So send me the nutrition label. I used to get high protein patties from Trader Joe's that had like 26 grams of protein in them. That if you cook them the right way are really tasty.
Cool.
Yeah. Any other questions from you guys? My dog is whining at the door. Oh my god. Okay, awesome. If there are no other questions, we're gonna go ahead and tomorrow morning start sending me photos of breakfast, lunch, dinner, even if you end up like, oops, I was really hungry and I had a snack. Send me a photo of the snack and we can chat about, okay, if you're really hungry between these hours, what are good options for you? Cool. Okay, awesome. Whole Foods, photos, and at least 3 meals a day. That is our plan moving forward until next Wednesday. All right.
Awesome.
Awesome. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.